Welcome everybody to VVR. It's gonna be first time coming. I've been wanting to do a Loki spoiler talk and obviously review the show, but I've been very busy with my life, just working and all that good stuff. But reviewed Space Jam and that was an adventure, so I'm at least keeping active. But today in the studio, I got one of my old friends, old co-workers, I should say. We got Lorenzo. Dude, repping the Marvel stuff, man. What do you got?
I gotta rep a little. Unfortunately, it's just X-Men today, but
it's dope.
I got the Marvel hat. It reps everybody.
Yeah,
it gives everybody love. Spidey socks on. I mean, it's most that I can.
Yeah, pretty dope, man. Yeah.
You can't see them. They're Miles Morales.
Dude, that's actually a deep cut right there. Actually.
Yeah.
Where'd you get those?
These actually were a gift from my coworker from work.
That's the whole bodysuit on there.
It's the whole suit, yeah, all the way
awesome.
down on both socks, yeah.
That is sick, man.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. Besides the Miles Morales tat on my leg.
I didn't. Oh my! I did. I think I caught that last time we went to go see Black Widow.
Yep.
Because I think you were wearing shorts. But
yep. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a deep cut.
It was a hot day.
That's a deep cut. Awesome, man. Let's. All right. Let's talk about Loki real quick. So we just rewatched Loki. I rewatched the last episode because it was a pretty straightforward show, but overall, I loved Loki. Mm-hmm. I think it was a great show. I wanted them to do a little bit more with Loki's character development with Sylvie, but at the end of the day, I think we got what we just, it was a great recap, and that was mainly the main focus of the show for me.
Yeah.
And then I thought that the way that they ended that cliffhanger right at the end, where the whole multiverse is spreading. Oh my God. So overall, I love the show. I liked even him, Loki with Morbius, the little banter.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the show was going to be a little bit different, but I want to get your take on it. What did you think of the overall show and the finale of Loki?
I mean, I loved it. There was this. I'd say this personally. I follow other comics, but I'd say for MCU, Loki kind of sticks out for me.
Yeah. He's really out there.
It's his character. It's, I guess, Tom Hiddleston overall, but I mean his character as a whole is kind of just one it's to be looked at.
Yeah.
Because he grew over the course of the entire movies. Mm-hmm. This is the only series I've actually started and kept up with from day one as it started.
So you didn't start with like WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I did, however, I hesitated. So I waited till they collectively were all there.
Oh, it's a
and
binge.
Then watched them. Exactly.
Oh, okay, so you're one of those. You like to collectively binge shows.
I choose which shows I'd prefer to do it with. Yeah.
Okay.
But this one I was like, nah, I'm gonna catch it from the jump.
Just right there.
Because I love Loki, like I said, and I don't want spoilers.
No, I mean, it's so hard in this day and age. How do you keep from going into spoilers right now? Because everyone knows this show. Like it's a huge cultural thing, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, did you hear anything that you were trying to keep away from it?
I guess I heard one fact before I guess I was like theoretically ready for.
Right.
Which really just pertained to, I guess, more Loki joking with the other Lokis about random crap.
Oh yeah, so
I knew that there were going to be more Lokis before,
because they were talking about variants and all that stuff.
Right.
I had no idea. I was in it for the ride. I had no idea. I don't read comic books.
Right. I don't read the Marvel ones. Like I follow the big, obviously, like the local TV shows.
Oh yeah.
Movies and things like that.
Right.
For Marvel, but I love Loki. Loki's the standout one.
Loki's. Here's the best compliment I can give the show. For me, I think it was the best acting I've seen in a Marvel movie. Like for me, or Marvel TV show.
Yeah.
Like you have Elizabeth Olsen with, in WandaVision with Paul Bettany. Fantastic. I think it got nominated for, I forget how many Emmys, but it's doing an Emmy thing right now. Yeah, WandaVision.
Yeah, WandaVision won. I thought it won a few, or
I believe so.
Yeah,
but I know it got nominated for like a drama and some other stuff, and superb.
I mean, the story was well written.
Yeah,
it really was.
And a show like that coming out during the pandemic, it felt like it was very personal of a show, and just kind of like, wow, their timing is incredible.
Yeah.
For what that happened.
No, yeah. They definitely took the pandemic full stride on that one. They're like, we're doing this one, that one.
Yeah.
And all have been very well written, very well, like, strong characters. Yeah. Ones that you can relate to. Obviously, Captain America, Winter Soldier, or Captain Falcon.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Falcon. They're calling him Captain America, but I'm not sure what moniker he's going to go by, but either way.
I'm hoping it's Captain America, but it'll probably be Falcon for a bit more.
Yeah, until it catches on, for sure. Yeah. But I really love their chemistry and their acting in this, and I think that's like, it's the best compliment I can give.
Yeah, I would say, as like you were saying though, I do wish we had more behind her, just because having them on screen together, the chemistry that they have was good.
Yep.
But then seeing like they'd really connect on something, and then all of a sudden I don't know where she'd be like, cause she'd kind of lash out.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I wanted to know why or where that came from.
Exactly. The way I saw it was like, okay, she's the version of Loki that all the events that happened prior to Infinity War, she hasn't developed that character yet, or her growth in it. So that's the way I see her. And then obviously we have Tom Hiddleston's Loki coming right out of what is it, the first battle of New York?
The first New York battle.
Yeah. So he's coming right off of that, and he still has. I mean, he has a little bit of that like empire mentality, like
he still had a little bit of his confidence from reigning over New York and the world there for a blip.
A little bit, and then I wanted it. I see it more in her for sure. Like that's the Loki that hasn't had any of this character development.
She has the fight of it.
Yeah, exactly. But what did you think about his Loki, Tom Hiddleston's Loki character development? Because we start this show with him very. In a different place, obviously. We have him like right after the Battle of New York, but at the end of the season, the end of everything, we see him in a completely different place, even more evolved past Ragnarok.
Right, like mentally, he's kind of become a different person at that point.
Right, completely different. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. I think everything that theoretically would have happened to him when he was watching, for instance, like when he's watching his entire lifespan.
Yeah, fantastic moment.
Oh my! Yeah, I was not ready for that.
No, not at all.
But when they did present that, and he saw everything up until what he was doing, and he saw like him and Thor, and then he saw him and his mom, and he saw his mom unfortunately pass away, and then he saw his dad pass away.
Things that he caused, that
he directly was influenced with, and then had a really good reflection on, which changed his character. I think he kind of had that in 2-3 episodes where he was kind of reflecting on like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. Because apparently I'm supposed to change, but I don't feel that way.
What do you think about that line where Morbius says, "You are not the stepping stone for other people to become greater," you know?
Yeah, you're the Loki that needs to happen just for other people to be better.
Right.
So that's why other people were succeeding around him all the time.
How would you feel if someone told you like, "Hey man," like even at your current job or just anywhere else, like, "Hey man, you're not gonna amount to anything. Right. Someone else is gonna come from the same cloth or whatever and step over you." How would you feel?
I mean, obviously you're gonna be pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna be on edge with everybody at that point. You're wondering who's gonna be the next person to step on me at that point. You're gonna kind of want to get that edge on them.
Yep.
And I think that is something that specifically Tom Hiddleston's Loki in this series kind of took full stride.
Yeah.
Going with it, realizing like, oh, okay, well that's my character, and then he kind of went hard with that for an episode.
Yeah.
But kind of backed off once he then saw his multiple selves and was like, oh.
Yeah.
Huh. We're all that way.
The Basfa Loki, I forget. I think that's Basfa Loki, the one that has the hammer. It's like the version of Thor.
Right.
Fantastic, because you get to see, this dude's just full of crap.
He's got it.
Yeah.
He got what he wanted, along with the little one. The little king.
Kid Loki. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite one out of that whole thing was the classic Loki.
Yes.
With I forget Hugh Grant, I believe.
No, what was his name? It's Grant something.
Yeah.
It is Grant something.
Where at the end, his culmination is, okay, I actually survived. Supposedly, he survived Infinity War.
Right.
From what he was saying, I'm like, oh well, that's interesting parallel that you have a different costume and you're a lot older, I guess.
Definitely older.
Apparently they explained that like. He goes, he does his little projection, super strong or whatever, to fool Thanos and to believe he's dead. And then he just goes in hiding for years with that guilt. I mean, I would feel at the end of Ragnarok, Loki comes out and he's like, "I'm here, your savior's here," trying to save the people of Asgard. And I believe, I saw this thing online as well saying that, wow, he can actually be a really good king and ruler, opposed to Thor, though.
Right.
What do you think about that?
As in, if Loki was an eventual king, I'd say this Loki towards the end of both series, either MCU or this Disney Plus series, I'd say both at the end could be really good kings because they both understand manipulators, like liars, thieves, and everything like that. But they also understand like that. Then trusting somebody can actually help you a lot. Right. That can get you further in life. It can get you a bigger crowd. So
and that's why I'm like, oh man, this show really did a character development off the chain for sure. I really like what they did with his character, and like I said, that polar opposite, Sylvie is the complete opposite of him. That's where he started, but she never got over this point. All right, let's talk about the last episode. what did you think about the reveal of who the man at the end of time was?
Yeah, he who remains. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he who remains. Him, I was really, really happy that I didn't get a spoiler on that one.
I had no idea.
I was trying to figure it out the entire episode, obviously. Loved his reveal, the way that he kind of like, he took the word specifically. Yeah. Because nobody knew specifically, they didn't say a name, they didn't say anything like that. He just said he was a ruler. And then like he said, conqueror. So grand.
Who was that actor? I forget he was in Lovecraft.
He was in Lovecraft, yeah.
Did you see that show?
I have not, unfortunately, no.
Winning Emmys, apparently.
Well, really?
Yeah.
I've heard it's get a couple seasons, so I'll probably have to give it a try.
Yeah, it got canceled because it's a book adaptation that just like, they did the adaptation. Yeah. And there's a lot of controversy of like, why would you cancel a show like that? And we're a little bit off topic, but the main thing is they already did the adaptation. Yeah. And it's great for what they did. Yeah.
Exactly. So you got to take it with that.
Exactly.
It's with a grain of salt with that. Why would you want to change the source material?
Exactly. His name is escaping me right now, but anyway, killed it.
But yeah, he does a phenomenal job at it, really. Yeah. He really did.
What did you think is coming then after that?
With the whole, multiple me's coming and everything like that, and them saying like, it's either multiple hymns or not multiple hymns. Personally, I think it is multiple hymns. Right. In terms of them all being as evil as I guess he was putting it on, I don't know.
He seemed more generous and more like laid back because he knew everything. I was like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. And then there's a point where he's like, they cross the threshold.
That threshold, yeah, where he's dropping the apple and he's doing everything. That was where he kind of he gets kind of like almost worried. Yeah, but then almost like that sense of calm of like, I don't actually know. Yeah, which that's kind of nice.
And that changes a little bit in his acting, I think, or just the way he portrays himself, because he's very confident, very like, not egomaniac, but no, I forget what the word is. Eccentric.
He's very, very, very grand. He's very dramatic, I'd say. Right. Very, very flamboyant in his actions. Right. He's definitely a character that I'd say I would get annoyed with, but it's like if I was Loki or Sylvie, sitting there trying to listen to him, like, is he telling the truth? Is he not telling the truth? Right. Is he playing games? Is he not playing games? And then he says, "Oh yeah, this is a giant game, by the way."
And that's so that's my biggest problem with this show. If you rewatch it, where do you think that he actually, paved the road?
What was his actual influence in that?
Exactly, yeah.
I would say the most influence he would have is who the TVA is purging. Right. And which Lokis are probably, I guess, going. Right. In terms of which Lokis are surviving, that I don't think he has any say in that, and how they are surviving. Right. I don't think he really has any say in that.
Like, he knew, I guess, I'm not sure, this is like very meta stuff, but did he know that one of those Lokis was going to get into the Citadel? It's so weird. Like, I
would say it's more of a hope. Yeah. Because he did explain the fact that he said, I was looking for a Loki. Right. Or I guess not a Loki, he said a person. Right. And I found two. Right. And those two are you.
Right. Like, so how crazy is that?
I do think that was at that point I do think it was kind of random. Right. It just happened to be two Lokis at that point.
One that, like, obviously Sylvie can enchant people, and so she was able to enchant Goliath. And then Loki was just there to, I guess, empower her strength, I guess. I
was like, he's a wordsman. Or a spokesman, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it. He has a way with words.
Yeah, that's the best way.
He gets, that's how he gets by. He's able to coerce, he's able to convince, he's able to talk his way out or into things.
Yeah, that's why he's a survivalist. That's why I'm so surprised that you have all of these Lokis. So surprisingly, they're like the only other people in the face of there, and then you have like these other renegade people just around Loki.
Just people around Loki that are surviving.
But he's like the cockroach that just will never die.
No, he can't. He can't. Well, that's what happens when they realize, oh, we have a god of mischief that we can kind of play with a little bit.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Okay, so why did he choose? And like I said, rewatching the show, I'm really having a hard time picking out the places where he actually paved the road for them, because you have the thing of Lamentus, right? Mm-hmm. Supposedly he was watching all of that stuff. Right. And then you have, supposedly at Lamentus, when they're at the lake or whatever, and they're just together, like on this little rock or whatever, and then like the branches are spiking up again, but that's when the TVA comes in. Right. I was like, I can kind of see that. Right. And then leading a little bit, but like I don't really see the master plan, if that makes sense.
I was seeing, that's where I was saying, like, maybe more big events is where I would feel more of the influence of, like, all right, you've been stagnant a while, like, go do something. So I would say in that sense, that's where I would feel more of the influence of like on Lamentus, like when everything was crashing down.
Yep.
Like he chooses the apocalypse, and then like I guess you have time, and then shit starts to fall off, and like everything like that. Like you said, the vines start to come up. Right. So it's more of like all right, cool. Well, like I said, you've been sitting here a while. You've been kind of planning and getting to know people. And, because they do that a few times on different timelines, different worlds.
Yeah, well, they just kind of stay in this.
Where they're sitting there and they're trying to like, where do we go next? Who do we contact next? Like, who are the masters? Who are the masters of the TVA?
What did you think about that reveal of the Timekeepers?
I was surprised, but at the same time, I was like, of course it'd be nothing.
Yeah. Just androids.
just that it would be a greater plan kind of thing. That
do you still think that they're going to be around, Timekeeper wise?
No. Even though I know Renslayer's looking for him, because she said she's looking for free will. Personally, I took that as like she's looking for like the Timekeepers.
That's the other thing I was going to ask you. Yeah. What's Renslayer's end game, or what she's after?
If free will is what she and Morbius were talking about, what it is, then it's the Timekeepers.
Right.
So if the only people, according to Renslayer, that can have free will are the people in charge, so she thinks that's the Timekeepers.
They would be above Kang and above everything else, right? Because they can
to her, yes,
right. But in the grand scheme of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, do you think there's something greater than Kang watching everything? You know, because we got the Living Tribunal out there in the comic books.
I mean, if we did, I guess there's the Living Tribunal. Yes, there's the new. I guess no. The new Illuminati don't control that.
Right.
Theoretically.
Which is like a side Avengers group.
Which is just like a side group Avengers. Yeah. For those watching.
Yeah. Not Nicki Minaj or anything.
Nothing or anything like that. Sorry. No, but then there's the. Watchers.
Yeah, the Watchers.
Yep. So I mean, it could be just like something like the Watchers.
Right.
In the set, but they don't. As far as I know, I don't know if they deal with time.
And that's what I'm like. I'm not sure. I see it as like a very cool. What's called meta moment, like, okay, Timekeepers aren't real.
Right.
But I'm like, wait, is there something bigger than them? Because there's so many other crazy things in that episode.
Randomly, at one point, I was thinking that it was going to be the Beyonder.
Oh, okay.
Like at the end of everything, for some random reason, because I'm like, with how cosmic and how like random everything seems to allegedly be.
Right. Who's the Beyonder, for those who don't know? Because I don't even know.
So the Beyonder in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is kind of like not sentient. He's obviously sentient.
Right.
He's a godlike kind of person. So he's like a Thanos or like a Galactus.
Right, like an Omega level.
Right, but he's kind of above all of them. He literally has all of their abilities and then some. Like he can control.
That's a pretty big deal. Damn.
Right, he doesn't need the Infinity Stones. He doesn't need any gauntlets. He doesn't need anything to do anything. He literally kind of just thinks it and stuff kind of just happens. He like has his own world and everything that he brings people to challenge them as champions.
Do you think the MCU will ever do that? Like something as big and heavy as that?
If they did, they'd reference it over anything. Kind of briefly, like how they do like Stan Lee cameos.
Oh yeah.
So like they would just kind of nudge at it, like, hey, there's this one guy one time kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, which personally is fine for me.
I'm down.
I'm fine with acknowledgement alone.
Right. Just that, because like bringing something like that, something bigger than what we just got,
because then inevitably down the line, anybody can do something with it too. Because then at that point, it's been talked about.
Right.
Been brought up.
It'll be too crazy. But so going with this show, do you think that this show was really out there? It was more on the fantasy side. It was more of like they really were pushing the boundaries of sci-fi.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that it's gonna push away audiences? You know, from what we just talked about.
Right. I personally wouldn't say so. Because I mean the people obviously want to see more of him. His season is the first and only Disney Plus season to get a second season.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Original. So I mean, everybody likes it. Obviously,
I love it. I mean, I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Because I mean, if we're gonna go more into their backstory together, I'm cool with that. Or more into the future of where we're gonna go with this whole Kang situation.
Right.
No, I'm interested. With the movies ahead though, I don't think it'll steer anybody away. Just because being that they're used to Doctor Strange and
well, we got new
Guardians
characters this year.
Exactly. Yeah, we have so many new characters that are being presented to us this year alone.
Yeah, like we just got Florence Pugh as Yelena. Forgot her name, but Yelena in Black Widow. Yeah. And then we had amazing, right?
Right.
And then we have Shang-Chi coming out this year.
Shang-Chi. I've seen two of the trailers I think that are out.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about that movie.
I'm hesitant.
I'm gonna be there.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm more excited for the lore and the culture side of it than anything.
Yeah, I'm not too. I didn't really know much about Shang-Chi until like other people explained it to me. I saw comics explained.
No, like, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and like I don't know how, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, now we have this new things coming out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, Phase 4, if that is officially what we have called.
Because this show directly impacts everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it has all the webs, all the branches and everything that were coming off are directly influencing Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man even, because now that's
Quantumania, yeah,
because that's what he's coming back.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering. Okay, like I hope that like it doesn't detract people, because I feel like they've been doing a really good job keeping it pretty grounded and really level of like, okay, it's not too far out there, but I think in terms of this show, it didn't overstep itself. Like, it still kept it characters focused more than anything.
Right. No, yeah, it was definitely them the whole time, and if it wasn't them, it was Morbius, which was actually kind of nice. Just because it was a nice break from.
I wish we got more Morbius, man. More towards.
Yeah, we need him on the jet skis.
Yeah, exactly.
We need him on the jet skis.
We
man.
definitely do.
We need him there.
Maybe season 2. That's what we're gonna get. So moving forward now, we have 2, I believe, more Disney Plus shows coming out. We have Ms. Marvel.
Which I heard is going well, as far as I know. I don't remember who they cast for her, though.
I forget, but they are incredible. I think it's like first-time actors, but incredible choice from what I've heard. Nothing but good things out of it.
I mean, I've seen like the costume design and everything.
Yeah, it looks dope.
She looks great.
Yeah.
She looks just like Ms. Marvel.
Exactly. So I'm like, I don't know anything about Ms. Marvel, but I'm down for what the overall like. It's a foreign character being introduced into a superhero world. How do they take it? I think it's really interesting.
I like it. I think it's going to be really cool to see.
Sorry, I don't know what happened with my thing, but it totally froze. But anyway, we're back. So we were just talking about Ms. Marvel. What do you think about Hawkeye?
Hawkeye, I'm pretty excited for. Mostly because I'm with pretty much everybody when I say Hawkeye was kind of shafted in the first Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
And then everybody wanted to know his story, so now we're getting Hawkeye's story finally.
Right, which is more of a continuation of Endgame, right?
Yes, which of course everybody wants because everybody loves his family. I mean, his family was kind of a staple in who he was towards the end of all of that.
You really get to feel it, and that's a bold move, opening Endgame with Hawkeye
just immediately removing his family like that. Oh. Like that was hard to take. I mean, it's one of those things you just gotta accept it. Like, cool, he's relaxed, he's having fun.
Yeah.
Psych.
There's your daughter gone.
Right, just
throwing arrows. Nope, gone. Nope. I really do think he's more validated in Endgame, like why he's like out in a self-sacrificing mission to like just take out as many people as possible.
Right.
And then just that when he gets that phone, I love Endgame so much, but when he gets that phone call from his wife, it's like he can't even talk. Yeah. It's such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, you feel good for him at that point because you kind of feel like, okay, well, everything that he just went through the entirety of like the last 5 years and then some is validated.
Killing
now.
Yakuzas, And now we get to see, supposedly, Florence Pugh back, Yelena back in, supposedly in Hawkeye. I mean, what an interesting dynamic that they are putting.
I think that's how they're gonna make, not necessarily like the Hawkeye and Black Widow relationship like back again,
right?
But maybe make the Hawkeye, the new Hawkeye, and new Black Widow relationship better that way.
Isn't that so? I talked about this in my forget which review I did, but I was talking about what did people think about new iterations of characters, because now moving forward it seems like the old characters are getting new iterations and the new characters are like being passing the torch, as it were. Like Captain America, we have Falcon taking up the mantle. Even I think this is a little bit more of a deeper cut, but I think in Iron Man we see Spider-Man taking more in the
he took like an Iron Spider kind of role. Yeah. No, yeah,
I mean, we still got War Machine, but I feel like War Machine is doing something completely different with the government side,
I feel like him being him, I feel like Rhodey separating himself and being like War Machine and then even Iron Patriot for a little bit.
Right.
I think that really kind of distanced himself from Tony in terms of like we have the same end goal kind of thing.
Right.
Just because Tony knew that Rhodey had a goal, and that was United States.
Right. That was it. There you go.
I work for the government. I work for the United States. I'm a military operative.
And I think he's totally fine for that role.
Absolutely, absolutely fine with it.
That's what he wants to do, and I think he got Tony's blessing and everything. So
he has his respect for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. But what do you think about that new iteration of characters now coming into the MCU? We're getting a new Black Widow kind of iteration. We're getting a new Hawkeye. Do you think that's like a kind of taking jabs of like characters that we used to know, or like, do you guys really have to do that? What do you think?
Me personally, I've kind of said it the same way. It's just across all comic books, like even just Hellraiser comics, DC comics, Marvel comics, every comics, they're kind of all passing the torch, sort of, so to speak. I personally think that has to do with everything that happened with the pandemic last year.
Right.
Everybody kind of wants new, fresh faces for it.
Right. Just not a rebirth.
Almost. Honestly, almost like a rebirth in terms of to go way back 1939 with Superman being written, published, sent out, which got everything going at that point.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just we want new heroes. We had another pandemic.
Yeah.
The world's kind of going through another crisis, if you will.
Right. Like this new,
everybody wants something to kind of look at to kind of focus on or believe in, if you will.
So do you think that's what they're mainly focusing on? Is just like handling these characters, and they're doing it with care too. They're not just like they're doing you're dead.
Yep.
Like Black Widow kind of goes like a little bit.
They tried to bring it back with Black Widow's movie entirely, which is good. Go see Black Widow.
Yeah, it's better the second time, and I think it's a solid. I went in my review saying like I can't recommend it, but I think watching it the second time, it's more solid.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, yeah, for sure. I haven't got it because I want to take my girlfriend.
You still haven't?
We're trying to see all these other movies coming out.
There's a lot.
They're pumping them out. It's the summer. I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love my summer season.
There's a lot, man. I'm gearing up for tomorrow to go see Snake Eyes. I think it comes out tomorrow or Friday.
No, it comes out. Yeah. I mean, you probably find some kind of early release for it. Yeah.
I usually try to go see
that
movies.
I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Back on topic.
Anyway, going back. Okay, so new iterations of characters. We have now this Hawkeye show, and then we have Miss Marvel. Going into all of this Loki stuff, where do you think it's gonna go? Because we have obviously No Way Home coming out this year.
Yep.
And Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think the MCU is really pulling towards at the end of this? Or like, I guess where they're headed towards, I guess.
I think with their like Phase 4, I think that they're really again going towards that younger kind of feel for it.
Right.
Because moving forward, like you said, with Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Hawkeye, and all them, they're not downgrading their heroes. They're making all of their heroes younger.
Right.
Or passing that torch. And by passing the torch correctly, like we're saying, like full seasons of something, or a few like mini series of something, just to like ease people's minds into it. Like, hey, we're about to do this thing.
Right. And the quality hasn't. People are saying some people were saying the quality kind of dropped a little bit. Like they're trying to. Because Kevin Feige obviously masses produce all of these things.
Right.
Where back in the day he was just taking 1 or 3 projects and they were pretty solid. Like putting out 1 or 3 movies a year is like a huge accomplishment.
Right. Like
one guy.
Most people do. Most people only do 1 or 2 movies.
Yeah.
And then this guy's pumping out 5, 6
blockbusters.
Movies. Like just.
Yeah. Where now it's like, dude, we're getting hit with like 10 projects, Marvel projects.
Yeah, I don't envy that guy.
Yeah.
I don't envy his work schedule. I envy his paycheck.
Yeah, that, and I just want to shake his hand at least once and like just ask him like, how do you keep your hair?
Yeah, I mean he's got a little.
Yeah,
I mean, he's pretty circular up there. He's pretty balding up there, but that's why he's got the hat on all the time.
Oh, see that? There you go.
He's got a hat on all
that
the
makes
time.
sense. But I'm like, okay, so. Do you think that so we got Spider-Man No Way Home coming in first, I believe in December.
Yes.
Do you think that we're going to start seeing ramifications of Loki in that movie?
Yes, immediately.
Immediately.
Yes, because with them No Way Home, like I feel like that's the implication because we all saw Homecoming, we all saw
Far From
Home.
Yeah.
Far From Home ends with the OG J. Jonah.
Amazing.
Right. Just I love that. First off, but ends with him just this is Peter Parker. He's Spider-Man.
Yep.
Which to me, I don't know if anybody else thought it was weird. J. Jonah works directly with Peter.
Yeah.
Like that J. Jonah, the one that we know, works directly with J. Jonah.
Right. The Tobey Maguire.
Right. They work hand in hand. So him revealing that Peter Parker is now Spider-Man.
Yeah.
his face didn't look like he was like, wait. I mean, it's pretty big news.
It's he knew already, right?
Right. It was like he kind of assumed it, and this was just validation at that point.
Isn't it? Do you think that he could be? This is like a really deep, like meta thing. But do you think it could be like a variant of the J. Jonah that we know?
Yes. That's exactly. That's where I was. Right. That's exactly where I was going to go with. It's just that it's a different him, more to speak, because he did have a shaved head at that point.
Yeah.
So it might not have been our J. Jonah.
Well, we definitely do recognize him. So you're thinking right away in Far From Home, or No Way Home, we're going to start getting all these things, and it's going to start going into this.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that Peter landed in, or I don't think that his universe is his universe anymore, so to speak. Like between his attack in like London and Paris, I think it's Paris,
Spain or whatever, Italy, yeah.
But yeah, where he went, I think between going there and then coming home, I think
that was the shift.
I think this happened.
Yeah. And
then that was the entire shift.
See, that's the new thing coming forward. Where does this show lie inside the timeline?
Right.
Because like Spider-Man: No Way Home, like we know the movies that are coming out, but like, where does this show take place? Because supposedly Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out before.
Yeah, it was supposed to kind of address what was going to possibly happen in this.
Right.
And now it's kind of vice versa.
Isn't that so? That's what I'm really curious about. Was Multiverse of Madness supposed to even take implications of this? Because now we're getting it next year.
Right.
And is it now doing it like we were saying, a reverse of like now this is continuing that?
I mean, we could say that. I mean, I would say maybe even a far stretch is to say that they had both movies both, I guess, the series and the movie on the table.
Right.
Read them, did their whole reading and everything like that, and then realized, well, what if we release Loki first, just to give that explanation of the multiverse, the whole theory of like, there's going to be you in that universe, and you in that universe, and you in that universe, and you in this one, and it's just going to go crazy, and we're all going to fight over it.
It's,
giving that implication that if you do have a giant multiverse, it will be madness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be one of those situations where they're just like, Loki would have been a better start to that.
And I think that's the best way to put it, of like why they released it like this. I still think that Multiverse of Madness is possibly going to continue off of this, and then just going to like start. I don't know how Doctor Strange is going to.
Right? Would you say these characters are going to pop up though?
I think Loki is going to pop up in Multiverse of Madness.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was confirmed or not, but I can double check later. But the main thing is, if it continues off, there's so much that happens in this show where like, wow, how do you as a Sorcerer Supreme? I don't even know if he isn't known as that now, but
I think.
Because
he saved the world.
Exactly.
So probably.
I think he had the Time Stone back. If Cap returned the Time Stone,
put back, which I feel like they should have addressed. But
like all of these little things. I'm curious how they're going to handle this, because I think there's a lot going on right now with the MCU.
Yeah.
And we have a little bit of breathing room, I guess, until we get these next DC shows and Spider-Man: No Way Home. But Kang, wow. Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know much about Kang. Do you know a little bit about him?
The most that I know, sadly, is that I don't know where he lies power level wise with like with like Galactus, Thanos, and all them kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But him controlling time, I do know that like that's a huge thing.
Okay.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. No worries.
That was like a big part of his character, was that he came back from the future because he knew all of this information.
Right.
And then that's the way he got succumbed to his power and all that.
And from what I know about his power, it's mainly tech based, like his suit stuff and everything.
Everything, yeah.
Like he can take on pretty much anybody.
Yep.
Because he really knows, he has this
because he has that tech.
It's like not a Batman, kind of like a Batman MacGuffin in a way.
Almost. I mean, he's kind of like a Batman kind of guy that came. There's a different character, not going to name
it. Oh, yeah.
But kind of a character that comes back in time. I know all of this knowledge, so I'm going to use that to get all this wealth, get all this power, and progress my own life into the future.
So, do you think that he's going to be... Obviously, he's the next big bad villain, but do you think it's going to culminate in something as, like, thousands of Kangs versus, like, all the Avengers that we have so far at the end of this story?
I don't personally think it'll be thousands. I think they'll maybe reference the fact that they've, like, how many, like, one has taken out, whatever it is. Which, again, I'm fine with acknowledgement. I just acknowledge the fact that...
Just even this
like,
little thing.
Oh, I'm crazy. Like, oh, yeah, really? Oh, yeah, I've killed 15 of me. I'm like, oh, dang. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of you.
Well, supposedly, the one that we met in the show was, like, not even the worst of them all. And
apparently he was allegedly, I guess, Kang Prime, if you will, because he said that he was. Because he explained it as there was the first scientist who then found a way to do this, and then as he was figuring it out, multiple of them figured it out.
Right.
And then once they figured it out and met each other, he said it was conceded peace, but it was peace.
Right. But he was like the more intelligent one.
Yeah, but he was like the more intelligent one because he figured out how to weaponize Elias, and he figured out how to like stop the war. I'm like, well, that's you started.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, well, like, did you stop it? Or?
So it's kind of interesting where we're putting into this, taking, if you take a step back from the MCU, with the shows and movies that they're coming out, and now you have Kang and this multiverse of madness stuff. It's really interesting where they're going with this show. So I'm just curious, like, overall, are you excited? Are you worried about what's going to happen?
I would say I'm excited personally, just because I'm a huge fan of time travel as a whole. So I like when anything messes with time, like when they started messing with time in Endgame. Yeah. That put the movie like over the top for me.
Do you think that they did it well?
For Endgame, I'd say yes. They did, because I like that they addressed other areas, and personally they showed other things that we didn't see, like with his scene. Yeah, where they showed like him getting arrested, being brought down by Coulson. And,
That's
they gave Coulson extra lines.
I really want to watch Endgame now.
Yeah, like having him sit there and like he was watching and he saw Ant-Man, like and he was like, what?
All these little things,
all those things that we didn't see that also led up to him escaping.
Yeah, and then Cap and Iron Man going back into the battle camp. What is that called? The fort or whatever, where they got the Hank Pym particles or whatever, the Pym particles.
Oh yeah, the actual like the battle fort.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, battle fort.
Like all of these little things, I feel like it really enriches the universe. Right. But are you worried that like things are gonna spiral out too much and it's like we're gonna be having a hard time keeping up with it?
Maybe I'd say like eventually down the line because there's gonna be name dropping heroes like and I mean obviously there are people that haven't seen specific movies in the timeline or specific series in the timeline.
I believe there's a lot of people that Endgame was their first.
Right, exactly, because they were like, oh yeah, all the heroes are there. That's super cool. It's like it's cool, but like you don't know any of them. Yeah, it's not shade at all. Like I get it. Like
it's more of a richer feeling when you actually follow.
It's everything. The experience, of the whole thing. I mean, granted, at the same time, you can watch that and then turn back and go, oh, I'm gonna watch this one, that one, that one, that one, that one.
I think it's
and at that point, I'm jealous because then you get the whole new experience right now.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if I could watch Endgame again for the first
time,
oh, amazing.
That'd be bliss.
So Shang-Chi, that's the next one that's coming out. I don't like we were just talking about. I don't know anything about it, but are you excited to see that?
I am. I'm like I said before. I'm excited for the culture of it. Right. The martial arts behind it. Obviously, I'm a huge martial arts buff. I like it. Right. It's just fun to see.
So you like Bruce Lee's kind of movies and all
Bruce
that
Lee, Ip Man. Like I like Jackie Chan's like original Chinese movies and like before he came over here.
First Strike, Police Force, or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. Battle in the Bronx is my favorite one.
I fucking love. Where he broke his ankle, dude. Yeah. Yes.
That's my favorite movie of Jackie Chan.
It's so cool.
For me, he's the OG of OG. I mean, you got Bruce Lee, but for me, Jackie Chan has always been.
My thing, I'm like, I wish they could have like connected for a little bit. That's my thing.
If that would be really cool.
They could have done any collab.
I'm not sure if they ever did even interview or talk or whatever.
I don't think they ever officially met. They were definitely alive at the same time and probably hung out at the same places every now and then. Right. Man, that'd have been cool.
That opportunity.
Right.
Missed.
But no, I'm excited for it. I don't know anything about his character, unfortunately.
Yeah. But what do you think about that Mandarin thing?
The man that's partially why I'm excited because I feel like Marvel's kind of trying to backpedal on the whole Mandarin.
That was a pretty big slap in the face.
Yeah, that was a super big kick in the gut, saying oh, I know you think you know who the Mandarin is. Yeah, but let's give you do. I know you know who the Mandarin is. Yeah. And it doesn't work.
Let's give you Ben Kingsley in a robe, just drinking beer or whatever.
He's an actor.
Yeah, it's a fantastic role, but
he does a good job. But I wanted to just
we needed the real Mandarin, and now we're gonna get him in Shang-Chi.
Exactly, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm curious about how the 10 rings even work, and they're not even rings; they're bracelets.
They're bracelets now. Yeah, that was the other thing is I knew them to be actual gauntlet rings before.
Yeah. That can do so many
different elemental things and spiritual, different abilities. I also know that typically he was an Iron Man villain, so I'm wondering if we'll get to see any Iron Man stuff in there.
Interesting,
or I guess maybe even Iron Spider things at this point. Or if it's just it's probably just a straight up origin story. But eventually in the future.
Exactly. I forget what the movie's taking place. Because I'm not sure if it's Seattle or New Orleans or whatever. Because I know it's here, but I think he does go back to his origins and just.
I think somehow he ends up back in his original place. Right. I don't know much about the guy, so I don't know where he's from.
I'm curious, but do you know? I think it's Fing Fang Foom, the dragon.
Yes. I know that. That much I do know, but that's only because of the Avengers cartoon.
Dude, what? I've seen it. Have you seen MODOK?
I have not watched MODOK.
It's not that great. But it's pretty cheeky.
And I figured it would not be great, but at the same time, it's MODOK, though. You know what I mean?
It's super cheeky. I enjoyed it.
I like cheeky, though.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the wit and the humor is a little bit like it's a little fast and boom, boom, boom kind of things. But if you can withstand the first episode, I think you'd be all right with it.
Right. Okay. Well.
But it's interesting because there's a scene of MODOK writing Fing Fang Foom, just like it's absurd stuff.
His name.
I don't know much about the dragon, but it's a giant freaking dragon.
It's huge. Yeah, it's a big ass dragon.
What is his role? Do you think in this movie?
Probably some kind of. He's probably in a humanized, transform, morph in some way, from dragon to human, human to dragon.
Is that what he does?
He has the ability. He is a magical dragon himself. Okay. Like Fing Fang Foom is a sorcerer himself.
Oh, that makes more sense. That's why he's able to shapeshift.
Yep, and then he's able to I'm a dragon.
Wow. Okay. So it can get weird, but it's still
it's still centralized at that point. Yeah.
Right.
That's why I'm excited, but it'll be weird. That'll probably be the weirdest thing since Elias, I guess. At that point,
Yeah, huge.
Because I guess we're referencing dragons and giant sea snakes and serpents and stuff like that. He'll probably be the next closest thing to that.
Awesome, dude. There's a lot of things that we just went through, and so far, Loki. I think we both agree. I love this show.
Yep,
great show.
Yep.
And I can't wait for the next thing. So for right now, that was it. Hopefully Shang-Chi when it comes out, do a review for that and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm super excited what's going to happen with the MCU personally, and I'm curious of what's going to overall happen. It's a big thing that they're doing.
With heroes in general, it's interesting to see where the age of heroes in cinema will go from here.
It's a noticeable change, but interesting what they're doing for sure. No other company, by the way, has done something like this. Made 20 plus movies.
No, Marvel is the first company to go from basically bankrupt with Iron Man and then just
took it off.
Literally, they're the controlling interest right now for cinematic and storytelling and how you write it and everything.
Oh, did you know that they actually just made the division? It's a smaller studio for animation. So obviously you have What If coming out.
Yep.
Which isn't tied to anything.
Right.
But it's really interesting stories. But they actually made a little, not little, but they made a smaller division of just for animation. Well, they're going to be doing new things in there.
Interesting.
Very cool.
I like it. No, yeah.
If they were, obviously we have the DC stuff right now going on. Where they pump out a new DC movie every month or whatever.
It happens.
Yeah, just every
shows everything.
Because there's some interesting stuff that they did with Under the Red Hood. You have
favorite.
The Killing Joke, all that stuff. The DC put out, and then the latest one being The Long Halloween, which I'm excited for.
Yes.
For the second part.
Sadly, I've not gotten through the whole part of the first one.
I don't think when the second one comes out. I'm not sure when, but that's when I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Binge the whole thing.
Yeah.
But for Marvel's sake, for studio-wise and animation department, where do you think that they can go, or what do you think that they can do in terms of animation quality and stuff like that?
Personally, my favorite style of animation is a little bit of actually what they're doing with What If.
Okay.
So that 3D kind of
a CGI-ish.
Yeah, almost CGI kind of animation.
Right.
So Disney Plus has a bunch of Star Wars, Clone Wars, that series. That animation style itself. Is where I would like to see the animated series go. I feel 2D has been
it's been
kind of a staple, kind of a staple, and there's hundreds of different styles of 2D.
Right.
And as they get as we get more and progressive during our lives and we watch TV shows and everything, they seem to get simpler and simpler.
Right.
Which is fine, but it's kind of going backwards in that sense.
We want to see something eye-catching, something new.
Where most people want to see that flashy new, this is the new, Justice League, this is the new Spider-Man.
And I feel all the DC ones, all the DC movies kind of have, this same kind of palette and, what's it called? visual style, you know?
Yeah.
Or I feel like Marvel can definitely do something a lot different.
It's just DC has a lot of different like art styles that they go off of because I mean truthfully their stories are a little bit darker than Marvel's can be.
Right.
But at the same time I feel like Marvel has a lot of room that they can just whip a couple stuff up. Even as a whole, American culture can take a little bit from like European, Japanese culture in terms of like their cartoons or their anime styles.
They can
and bring that in, and that would set their stuff to the next level.
What do you if you had a comic book that Marvel couldn't do, since we're talking about Marvel, what would be the comic book you'd want them to adapt into an animation form?
If I had to pick one specifically,
if there's one you were really dying for.
There's a specific it's a Spider-Man comic and I read like most of it and it was like 15 years ago.
Amazing Spider-Man probably or Spectacular?
Yeah, it was a Spectacular Spider-Man one, so he was still in high school and everything like that.
Is that the one where Doc Ock takes over his body?
Yes. So I'd like to see that one.
That's a very interesting and very cool thing that they did there.
It's just a weird kind of, I guess, adaptation that I'm like, okay, I haven't thought about that. But I like it, yeah.
And that's the new thing now. Like, what if they with their animation, where could they actually be headed, and what they can actually do with this new animation department? But all interesting things. Right. Overall, it's super exciting.
Yeah, it's a lot to look into, a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. Well, man, this has been great. Thank you for coming in.
No, thanks for having me.
Dude, this has been amazing. And overall, I hope the quality came out good. I did some tweaks on my laptop, and I have a friend that's giving me a new PC setup or whatever. Right. Because rendering videos and doing all this stuff takes a lot out of my. It's a 2019 laptop. It's not.
It's doing its most.
Yeah, it's doing all right. But yeah, I hope everything comes out, and hopefully more in the future when more Marvel projects come out, we can talk more. And, dude, this has been a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next show. Bye-bye.